Folks, and welcome to another episode of the Pro Hockey Pod, episode 35 this week. Before we get started, like I always say, give us a follow and check these videos out on YouTube. I think it's good to see, the faces of the guys that I have on every week to hear their story personally. This week, got another D1 college athlete on, graduate of St. Cloud State University, which is obviously a very good university on the hockey level, especially. And just kind of found out before talking to him off camera here that he was a broadcasting major there. So excited to see how his skills translate to the podcast. But currently living in Slovakia, playing pro over there. Welcome to the Pro Hockey Pod, Robby Jackson.
Thanks, Andrew. Nice to be here. Early fresher, hey, throwing the broadcasting thing out. So I guess we'll see if I live up to the hype. I certainly hope so. But now you got me nervous. So
Gotta put you on your toes a little bit before we start.
that's fair. Never get comfortable.
But we always like to take it back to the beginning, kind of where you started. And as I mentioned to you off camera, like you obviously have a kind of a unique upbringing, I'd say, growing up in California there. So obviously, California, warm weather, not exactly known for its ice hockey. A lot of kids, I'd say, go into other sports. But, how was it for you growing up there? And like, where did you first kind of learn to fall in love with the game?
And honestly, a lot of it had to do with the Sharks coming out to the Bay Area in '91. My parents had season tickets like before I was born and all that. My dad was into hockey when he was younger too, but there wasn't really much opportunity to play ice hockey, like you said, stuff like that, like just being in California. So he played like ball hockey and stuff like with his friends growing up and everything, and then he played adult league. Then he eventually, transitioned to ice and all that, and played adult league and everything. I was a huge fan of Bobby Orr, too. He was, and then like I said, they had season tickets when the Sharks came to town, and I don't know, I was weirdly, I might as well have been, in like Minnesota or like Michigan or something. The way hockey was just part of my life growing up. You know what I mean? Like it was one of, if not the first sports like I played in an organized fashion, and I just fell in love with it obviously early on and stuck with it. And here I am.
I noticed too you got a Warriors t-shirt on right now. So would that be your second love there for sports?
Honestly, it might even be the first love. No, it's fun to watch. I'm a weirdo though. I'm not one to like watch hockey really anymore. You know what I mean? I feel like it's like a compartmentalizing thing where like when I'm in the mood for hockey, like it's work mode. Like it's not like a casual thing that I can do. Like when I see hockey, like just you start to analyze it so much. So it's almost tough to be a fan for me at this point, just because like it is a job now and it's a profession. Like just every like, I mean, you played pro, you're coaching pro, like you take bits and pieces of everything. So like if I see like Matthews, like score a goal or something like he does, like his toe drag release, whatever. Like in my head, I'm thinking, okay, like how can I do that, or how can I like maybe try to like replicate that in my game or something. And so that almost makes it tougher to like just sit back and be a fan and shut the brain off. You know what I mean? So like honestly, I'd rather watch basketball than hockey, but I'd rather watch, I guess, football, baseball as well. Just because, like I said, I can't do it in a calm and relaxing manner anymore. It's almost too analytical for me.
I mean, that's a fair like analyzation, I'd say, because as you said, you are playing at the pro level now, and as fun as it is also your job. So coming with that, maybe some pressure, having to perform every day. So having these other sports to kind of just almost relax your brain, be like a total just a fan to them, whether it's basketball, baseball, like you mentioned. And a couple other guests have said that too when being on. Like they've said, my kids are going to play multiple sports because these kids now who focus on hockey 12 months of the year, like that's not good, like both mentally and
Yeah,
physically.
yeah. No, I played. I mean, I played basketball when I was younger. I played when I was in second grade, maybe, and then maybe fourth grade. And then I played for my middle school team. That was obviously tougher, like just with the conflicting seasons, basketball and hockey. But then uh, I played baseball my basically the entire time I played hockey up until my sophomore year of high school. then that's when I had to go to Chicago for the USHL. Man, I probably can't squeeze the high school baseball team into the USHL schedule.
Yeah, that might have been tough, and we're gonna get there. Don't worry. But I wanted to ask you
Yeah,
quickly. So, what position were you then at baseball? I was a catcher. Obviously, being a goalie, that was good for reactions. So, I'm curious what you
yeah.
were.
I was, I mean, I played a little bit of everything in like little league and all that. But by the time I got to high school, I was primarily a catcher too, like dominant catcher. I played my freshman year. I was the only freshman on varsity, my freshman year. So, and they had like a senior catching, so I played a little bit of right field, and like designated hitter a little bit, just like getting the lineup. You know what I mean? But then when I came back my sophomore year, yeah, I was just strictly catcher. I loved it. I miss it a lot. I'm not gonna lie. It was fun.
Hit any dingers?
Dude, bro, we had one of those like a green monster kind of vibe, like in our home field. You know what I mean? So it was only like 260 feet, and I was a lefty. I was a lefty hitter too. So it was only like 260 feet to the wall, but it's 3 stories high. Like it was legit 3 stories high because it was right into like the backyards and like a neighborhood, like on the so. Nah, rang a few off the silver monster, but never put any over, man. I think I might have to stay my junior or senior year to get that done. I was still 15 years old. The bat was swinging me, not the other way around. So I needed to get in the gym first before I could get something over that fence.
I'm amazed whenever baseball is probably my second favorite sport. I love the Jays, obviously being from Canada, but it
Mm-hmm.
must be such a cool feeling like when you just hit a no doubter and you just get to
Oh my
watch
god!
that thing go. Like,
Especially like right now in playoffs, like you hit like a home run. It's like 3-1, and you hit like a solo shot to make it 4-1 in like the eighth inning. And oh my yeah, that's one of the cooler. That's got to be one of the cooler feelings in sports, man. You need to, like, what is it, 18, 20,000 people just all staring at you as you trot the bases, and oh, getting chills just talking about it. That sounds so dope.
there's always that debate, I guess, of what would be the most cool feeling, a walk-off dinger, I guess an OT goal in hockey, and then it was like buzzer beater in basketball, and then I don't know what it would be in the NFL, maybe like a last second throw to like when the game's tied or something, like what would get the biggest
Yeah,
reaction?
maybe like a clutch interception, like that interception the Patriots had on the Seahawks in the Super Bowl, maybe
Mm.
probably the biggest one. Kick return for a touchdown would be pretty dope. It's tough though because there's not like really any game enders. Like there's not like walk offs in football, at least for the most part. I guess maybe like a kick, field goal at the buzzer. I don't know, but sports, man. Every feeling is cool, and a lot of feelings suck at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. But getting back to you, obviously talking about just kind of your career there in hockey. So, like, what was your minor hockey path like in California there growing up? Because obviously, as we touched about, like when the Sharks moved to your area, that kind of obviously grew the game. I think in '91 there, and it still obviously takes some time to slowly build up the minor hockey systems, if you will. And
Yeah.
yeah, what was your minor hockey path like?
It was basically just club sports. Like there are a decent amount of rinks scattered around the area. Within probably like a 40-mile radius, there's one in Oakland. There was one in Berkeley, Fremont, and San Jose, and then Cupertino too. So I guess what that's it's 4 or 5 rinks, and a couple of those rinks have like multiple sheets. So like it was available, and it was kind of just more of like an interest thing. And the Sharks coming out, like I said, was huge. And then hockey started to get better, and the competition. So we started at A, then we went to Double A, and then there were no at the time there was only one AAA team like in the Bay Area, and I just made the move down to LA, where they had like in Southern California they had just more rinks, and it was a little like higher quality at the time. And so I played for the LA Selects my like major Bantam year, so like 14, and then my U16 year, minor I guess. I was a sophomore in high school. I was 15. I played for the LA Junior Kings, and it was just like I said, the Sharks coming out to the area helped. Like when the Kings and even the Ducks, actually the Ducks won in 07, right? I think. And then when the Kings were winning them in like 2012 and 14, or 10 and 12, something like that. Um, that was just huge for the area. Like it was crazy. Going to the school my first day, like in LA, my sophomore year. I didn't know anybody at the school at the time, and but it was nice to be accepted so quickly by like the student population because they actually like understood and had an appreciation for hockey now. Because like a lot of them were Kings fans or a lot of them were Ducks fans and stuff like that. So just the success of those NHL teams really has done incredible things for the growth of hockey in California. I mean, now you got a handful of guys from California. Guys are getting drafted. Producing a lot of college hockey players, and I mean, like we just talked about, I don't really watch hockey from a fan's perspective, but I'm sure we got some California natives in the NHL right now. And even, I mean, it's right next door, Arizona. Like you got Austin Matthews from Arizona right there. So it's kind of that area of the Pacific District. It's really on the rise, and it's great to see too. Like I never made it to the NHL or anything, but I like to think that I like helped pave the way, for guys to go to juniors and play college hockey and make the leap to pro and stuff like that.
No, it's a good way to look at it, and it's as you said, it's cool to see and just crazy how these teams, you even mentioned, the three California teams and then even Arizona, like how they've opened doors for a lot of kids who might not have been introduced
Sure.
to these sports. And now you see them, as you mentioned, Austin Matthews playing NHL doing so well. How was the travel for you? So like, when you're playing for like the Los Angeles Selects and stuff, like, did you guys have like a kind of regional league and then you would do a lot of tournaments, or like how did it work?
It was. Let's see if I can do this. It was so there was like a state league, like the California like Hockey Association or whatever, California Amateur Hockey Association, uh, and we would do like I think we had four. Yeah, we had four like AAA teams, so we'd all kind of like the three of them we'd play each other in LA, and then every once in a while we'd play like the one up in San Jose, and then pretty much every other weekend we were also part of like a the tier one elite league. Excuse me, and that consisted of like 40 teams from around the country. Like there was a team, we had the one in California, Arizona, Colorado. I think there were two in Colorado. There was one in Dallas, and then a few in like Chicago, like Michigan, like out east, like the bigger hockey markets and stuff like that. And pretty much every other weekend, like during the season, there'd be a showcase, and I was like league standings. It was basically like a season, but instead of playing like pro hockey, we play like Tuesday, Friday, Saturday. Like we would just have to squeeze 3 games in on like a weekend, 3 or 4 games in on a weekend. And but they weren't tournaments, so like you could go 3-0 or 4-0, and like you just rose in the standings. Like there wasn't a trophy at the end. So we had those there, like I said, once or twice a month, and those were Phoenix. We hosted one in LA, but they're Philadelphia, Chicago, Boston, like Colorado, Texas. Like so, we were pretty much. I missed a lot of school that year. Let's just put it that way. I missed a lot of school. It was getting kind of outrageous. Um, and yeah, so that was pretty much how like the AAA hockey like operated in California. I think it still does, but there might just be more leagues with like the NAPHL and Tier One Elite and stuff like that. But yeah, it was. And then to qualify like for so the Tier One Elite, we had like at the end of the season, then we had like the playoffs. Like the top 8 teams. Like we're all in Minnesota, and we played like one plays eight. You know what I mean? We finally played the playoffs there, and then to qualify for nationals, it was essentially like we played like the state tournament, and then the winner and the runner up from the state tournament. So 50% of the California League, 2 out of the 4 teams. Then we went up to Alaska, hosted it, but it was like all the champions and maybe like a runner up or two from like the teams in the Pacific District, like California, Alaska, Hawaii, Washington, and Oregon. So like those. Oh, and it was 6. Yeah, I think Arizona was in there too. But yeah, so then they played like the tournament then, and you had to like win the Pacific District, then you qualify for nationals. So which we did, and went to nationals, and that was fun. But yeah, it was complicated. When you asked me, I was like, oh boy, I'm about to monologue here. But it's yeah, it was it's complicated to explain, but once it's one of those things where like it's just second nature to us because that's what we grew up around.
No, it's what you're used to. So it's,
Exactly.
totally understand that. And as you said, you would have been missing a lot of school, but also getting kind of used to what would come later, juggling both, in terms of being
Yeah.
a student athlete, but then also like the pro schedule of playing, so many games in a short amount of time. But I
Uh,
was curious, you ended up, you ended up getting drafted 3 times, and you know, unfortunately not the NHL 3 times as we all hope, because that would have been cool.
yeah.
But obviously getting drafted to the WHL, the NAHL, and the USHL. So WHL obviously being major junior, Western Hockey
Yeah.
League, and then the other two being tier two junior leagues, excuse me, respectively. Um, so how did you kind of make a decision through all this, to one say no to the major junior route, but then evidently you end up choosing to go play in the USHL?
Well, I was the Western League, the WHL, and the basically the major juniors of the CHL. They come calling so young. Like I was like 14 when I was drafted. So they do the Bantam draft in the WHL. So I was 14, and I wasn't really ready to. I knew that I wasn't ready to make a decision at that time. I was like, man, like, I'm not old enough to know what I want. Like this going to be a career altering decision, and and that was part of what helped me decide to go to college. I felt like it just gave me more options and more wiggle room and more time. And I mean, it's ironic I ended up going in as a true freshman, so I didn't use that time. But it just the fact that I've my family kind of raised me as like a and our values as a family is always like keep all your options open. And basically it boiled down to you can go from college if you don't like it and it doesn't work out, you can always go back to you can go to major juniors, like you have that in the back pocket. Like I could have left after my freshman year, my first semester or whatever, and some guys do that. But if I went and played like in the WHL, then I can't. I couldn't have gone to St. Cloud State, or I couldn't have played college hockey in America. And so that honestly was a big factor in it, just keeping all your options open. And my dad ended up he's a high school English teacher now and all that, and we just I don't know. It was a pretty easy decision, I guess, for me. Just college just seemed like the right thing to do.
I find it weird that like the door is only open one way. Like as you said, you could go as a true freshman to college and say,
Yeah.
if you're in a bad situation, or maybe you get a better opportunity to go back to the WHL, you can
Mhm.
go. Where the other way around, like what if you're, as you said, a 16-year-old making a decision to go major junior and then realize, what, like this isn't for me. I need to develop a little more, and I'd
Uh-huh.
rather go in sub A. But you can't do that. It's funny that it doesn't allow it both ways.
The NCAA, dog. They view that as professional because you are making money. You're not making life changing money or generational wealth or anything, but you're getting a monthly paycheck, like in major juniors. So that's by definition that makes you a professional. And obviously with the NCAA and everything is amateur status. I don't know if that changes with the NIL deals and all that now, but
Well, I also just think too, like if you think about it, like on a technicality basis, yes, you get your 75 per diem a week or whatever you do
yeah, yeah,
in major junior, but at the same time, like colleges are paying you 50,000 a year to go to school there for free. So how is it different?
I
I'm not throwing that at you. I'm just
no,
saying in general, like
no,
it's like
yeah.
me, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's no, trust me, I've sat there and I mean, like every athlete, he's I want to get paid, I want to get paid, and so I thought about that a lot, like in school, and I was like, man, like I had a good junior year. I was like, dude, like I'm so like I just want to get paid to do this by now, you know what I mean? Like like yeah, like I am getting the free education, that's really incredible value and all that, but at the same time, you're like, man, like broke college, like you really are. You're like, broke college student. I gotta, get money from my parents and this and that, like, or whatever. So it's like, dude, like, so I was ready to leave after my junior year if I had like a, a NHL offer or whatever. Like, it was gonna be a no brainer. But didn't have an NHL offer. So I was like, yeah, I mean, go back to school another year, darn. Like, you know what, I'll go have some fun in college and play college hockey, you know what I mean? So, but it's just, yeah, it's the, yeah, we don't need to go down that road. That's a whole can of worms. And we can talk about, you know, professional versus NCAA and amateur and all that. We could do that for hours. I love talking about that.
Yeah, and we'll get there too. I still like want to focus kind of we just keep having good conversation getting off topic
Yeah.
here, but we need to go
Yeah.
back to your career here. So
Telling you, it's the
uh
broadcaster, man. I tend to do that.
yeah, all good. I can see it coming out. You know, when you make the jump to the USHL there, so you end up going to Chicago there. You know, first year you end up rookie of the year, which is tremendous. Like, you know, during the season or maybe at the end or during your 2 years there playing in the USHL, like were you starting to get a lot of like NCAA interest at this point?
Yeah. Yeah, quick story about my first game actually in USHL. We me and my roommate, we were both, I was like 16, he was 17, so we were both still in high school. We never like, you know, played this level before anything. And so it was our first home game. And like we didn't know. We are always like, yeah, you know, you get there an hour or so, whatever, before the game. And we didn't know, like, you know, it's kind of just, it's standard. You get there 2 hours before the game, and you know your meetings down at 45, all that. And so we just strolled in, like, you know, not a care in the world or whatever, and walked right into the meet. Like, and the way the locker room was structured, like the whiteboard and the video and all that is like right next to the door to the locker room. So we strolled in, all eyes on us. And the captain at the time just goes, "Hey, sit the F down and like just be here." She calls in the office, like, "Hey, like you were late to the meeting. You're sitting the first period." He's like, "It's just the team rules. Like my hands are tied. You know what I mean?" He's like, "Yeah, it's your first game and all that. I don't want to mess with your head and everything." But it's like, it's, you know, it's pretty black and white. Like you're not playing the first period. And I swear to you, I just went to, I was like, yeah, okay, I kept it together. Went to the bathroom stalls and just sat in there and cried and just teared up. I was like, oh my God. You know, I was a 16-year-old, my first game. I was all nervous. Sat the first period and all that. Scored like the first shift of the second period. And yeah, like you said, just had a great year the rest of the year. It's an incredible start to what turned into like one of the best years of my career. You know what I mean?
You must have
Like we,
become a lot better at being you know, on time,
I mean,
pünktlich,
we
as they
showed,
say in German.
that was Friday night. We showed up to the Saturday game like 3.5 hours ahead. We walked in, and our coach starts laughing. He goes, "I would have bet my entire life savings you two were the first to the rink today."
Rink's not even open yet. The guys are just
Oh my God, yeah. But no, back to your question. Yeah, I mean, obviously, when you're playing in, you know, the top league, basically for college scouting and recruiting and stuff. Yeah, a lot of teams, and I had some interest from schools before that, like from when I was playing in those like showcases and stuff for the junior kings. Um, but a lot of, and then especially like you said, when I had such a good year, my 16-year-old year, my rookie year, a lot of schools, you know, came out of the woodwork, and I had a lot of interest, and you know, I ended up choosing St. Cloud, but there were a lot of schools. I mean, I am not gonna sit here and list them all, but it was fun. Honestly, the recruiting process, you feel wanted and all that, and you get to, you know, really deep dive into the academics, the hockey, the campus life, and all that of different programs, and really just pick the best fit for what you think as a hockey player and as a person that you would like. And it was it was fun. We chose, or I say we, my parents were involved, and we talk about it a lot. But like we feel it was the right choice, and you know, if we had to do it all over again, I don't think I'd change anything. I'd go with St. Cloud, and you know, they had a great broadcasting department. I knew that's what I wanted to do at the time too. Like I want to probably do that after hockey, get into broadcasting or coaching. But it was it was a lot of fun. Just you get to know the coaches and stuff too, your relationships. And honestly, it was really hard once I committed to St. Cloud. Like there were a few phone calls I had to make. I was like, man, I have to tell this guy, you know, that I've had a relationship for the last year and a half with, and we get along great and all that. Like I got to tell this guy, hey, like I'm going somewhere. It was almost like a breakup, you know what I mean? Where I'm choosing someone else over you, and it was really tough to tell them that. But you know, you still had a good relationship with them after, and you know, if we played against them, it was always all friendly and the handshake line and everything. But it was a unique experience. It was a lot of fun.
Definitely maturing at a young age, like that stuff, as you said, like having to call these coaches at 17 and be like, "Hey, appreciate everything you've done for me, but I'm going somewhere else." And I wanted to ask you, like, how did you know that you were ready to go as a true freshman? Because that is a big step because it's another world, college. You know, in terms of juggling the student athlete, you know, being away from home, all the extra stuff that comes with it too. And, you know, to handle that at 18 years old is obviously, you know, not easy for everyone.
Um, Honestly, man, I don't even know. I think it was kind of just once I you know played in the USHL at my junior year of high school, like at 16. I kind of just imagined, you know, like 2 years in the USHL and then college. You know, like I didn't really want to play a third year, and especially like I felt like you know I had a good year my first year and like a good year my second year. Like it wasn't like I was struggling. Like I didn't think I needed more time. Like I felt like I was ready. I felt like another year in the USHL like might have been not a waste of time, you know what I mean? But it's like, you know, I felt like I was ready because of, you know, the success that I had. And that was part of it too. Like that was kind of just the plan. I felt like that was like the path that I was on, you know, and the timetable I was on. Once I made that jump to the USHL and handled it well, like at least the academics and the hockey side of it. Once you know I was getting good grades and I was putting up numbers and performing and producing on the ice, it just felt right, you know. And that was part of the recruiting process too. When I was choosing schools, like I was asking, like, hey, like what year do you see me coming in? Like I kind of like I want to come in as a true freshman. Like, is that how you guys see me? Like, would you want me to play a third year? You know, whatever. Like, do you see me coming in like not being a part of the team? Like, you know, yeah, you can bring me in my freshman year, but you know, like I'm only gonna play half the game, stuff like that. So, I don't really know how to describe it. I just felt ready, and it was almost like I expected that out of myself. You know what I mean? It was just a natural progression, I guess.
Well, I think it's a unique situation for you too, because like as you mentioned, you're playing in, you know, for North America, probably the top best tier two junior league. And then I would say probably
Yeah.
like if you talk about Canada, like the BCHL would probably be the top one out there. So like
Mhm.
it's not like you had started somewhere lower, played 2 years, and then could take a next step in junior. Like you had already played there, done well. So maybe in kind of like what you said, you plan to play there 2 years and you did well. And then it was like, okay, I'm ready for college.
Yeah, like if I hadn't made the team in Chicago, you know, my 16 year, like maybe I wouldn't have. I probably would not have gone as a true freshman. But that was just yeah, that was kind of the path. You know, just you play with your club team or whatever, and then when you're ready to make the jump to the USHL, like you make the team and you produce, and then 2 years there, and then college. Just happened that yeah, my timeline was a little earlier.
And how was your experience at St. Cloud for someone who's, you know, when I played college, we never played against them. So for someone who's never been there, like how's the town, how's the campus, the rink, the setup, everything like that?
The setup's incredible. They had just done like major renovations to the locker room when I was there, and we had like you know former Huskies coming back. We were like playing in the NHL, and they were man, like the setup's nicer than some of the National League, you know, setups and all that. So, and they just redid the gym there too. So it's yeah, it's an amazing facility and setup. The support from the community and the student body even is phenomenal. Man, it's awesome. And I mean, as far as you know, it's I don't know, it's not a huge town, but yeah, it's big enough. Like you never really never bored. You know what I mean? You don't really have time to be bored anyway. As a college, as a student athlete, you know what I mean? Like it's pretty much just class, hockey, or you know, video games with your guys, or whatever you want to do. You know what I mean? So it's it was a lot of fun, man. Like I said, I wouldn't trade it for anything. And if I had to do it all over again, knowing what I know now, like I think I'd still make that same decision and go in when I did, and you know, stay 4 years, all that.
I think anyone you talk to who's been there and then people who went a different route and then hear about the stories from what we would tell. Like college is the best. It's 4 years of fake life.
Yeah,
And
it's
as you
crazy,
said, like
crazy.
your priority one is going to the rink and being a hockey player.
Yeah,
Priority two is either school or the extracurriculars, outside with the boys, like hanging with them. And then it's just it's crazy. Like I remember like winter breaks, when school's out and like we'd have to go back and play tournaments, and you're just literally going to the rink, and then the rest of the day you're playing Call of Duty the whole day with all your
yeah.
teammates. Like it's just like
All it is, man.
it's
All it is. It's the best. It was the best. It was, yeah, like you said, 4 years of fake life. That's a real good way to put it. Your responsibilities, your responsibility. What's the other word I'm looking for? I'm blanking on it right now. But there's nothing you have to do. Like there's nothing on your plate once and there's especially the days too, like when you get your schedule and you're like, oh, like I don't have class on, like you make your I don't have class on Wednesday. You know what I mean? So like you practice in the morning, it's essentially like a pro hockey day. Like you're done at you're done at 11 a.m. or whatever, and go get lunch. And then you play video games or take a nap or do whatever you want for the rest of this. Yeah, it's amazing. It was the best. They always say, best 4 years of your life, but fake life. That's a really good way to put it, man. It's almost heaven.
well, you leave and then you're like, wait, this is the real world, like because you've been so
Yeah.
used to something. And I always say to people too, I'm like, I would love to not do it again, but I'd love to see it from a normal student's eyes, because like normal students, like they can start their classes at 3 in the
Hmm.
afternoon and like sleep
Yeah.
all morning and like,
Yeah.
party whenever. Where like us as
Yeah.
student athletes, you have to juggle a schedule of doing classes in the morning or skating early, then doing classes, then
Yeah.
going back for regular practice. So it teaches you kind of time management, I think, especially.
No, I was crazy. Crazy, the normal college student maybe goes out like Wednesday through Saturday night, And like as a student athlete, you're like, can't do that. Like when you like some weeks you don't even get to party because you're obviously not doing it during the week, and then Saturday night's really your only night. And for St. Cloud, like if we're playing in Duluth that weekend, like we bus back after the game. It's like a 2.5, 3 hour bus trip. We're getting home Saturday night like 2 a.m. and like it's all right. Well, we're not gonna start now. You know what I mean? And we're gassed after the weekend and all that. Like you can party at home, of course. There's sometimes when you fly, like when we fly to Miami of Ohio or Colorado College or Denver, it's like all right, we're staying the night and we're leaving Sunday anyway. We can go out on the town and all that. But yeah, just the like you said, the contrast between the normal student, I guess, and the student athlete. It's definitely night and day a little bit. Just in the oh man, there are some days I would love to sleep until 3 and have class at 4. That sounds incredible.
We definitely, as hockey players, and there's other athletes too, I would say we definitely invented the Sunday fun days, because sometimes it's all you got. So,
That's seriously, man. It's the only day off we have, especially in college. Like it's the only day off we have. Sunday fun day, man. And you got red zone on the TV, or you go out with your jersey on, and there's always Sunday specials too at the bars. You know what I mean? College students pounce on that.
yeah, they're trying to entice everybody in.
Sunday fun day. They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing.
Um, but back to the hockey side of it, like obviously
Sure.
you end up having 4 really good years there, and then as you mentioned, the last 2 years, you take an even bigger step, and after your junior year, you had kind of been looking, to sign an NHL contract if it came, and then it didn't, so you end up going back for your senior year. But I'm curious, like after that, so like when you're going through your senior year, like were you getting, whether it was directly to you or if you had an agent at the time, like were you getting interest from NHL teams and stuff? Because I saw at the end there you end up going to play some games for the San Antonio Rampage there in the AHL.
Yeah. I mean, we had such a good team that there were NHL scouts at pretty much every one of our games. Our junior, for my junior and senior year. Like we had like Jimmy Scholl was a top 3 Hobie finalist. Newell, my roommate, was top 10 our senior year. Ryan Paling was a first rounder. Like Isamont was drafted by the Kings. So and we were so good. Like I said, that there were. I mean, a lot of it was for Jimmy. He was a stud, and a lot of it was for Newsy too. But like they were, I mean, they're NHL scouts at every one of our games, and our home games in St. Cloud when we were playing, St. Cloud versus Duluth in St. Cloud. You look up and the top row of the stands is just filled with guys standing up with the black coats. It's like, oh, it was. I was like, yeah, 17 NHL teams in the building, and I had, all right, sounds good. Better be on your A game tonight. Um, but everyone's different. I know like a lot of teams would talk to some guys like personally after the game and all that. I was always more of a kind of, I had like a quote unquote advisor at the time. It's essentially Asian, but you're not a professional, so there's no professional relationship. But yeah, I had an advisor at the time, and I was more just like, hey, like I'd rather like you kind of deal with that. Like I was at the time, I wasn't really good with like compartmentalizing that. If you would tell me like, hey, like hey, Dallas is going to be there and they're very interested in you, like you know try to play with, like that would just get too in my, I'd get way too in my head and stuff like that, and it would end up being way worse than do more damage than good. So I was always more just like, tell me after, like I'll play the weekend, all that, and then tell me after if there's any good feedback or stuff like that. But yeah, I played with I signed a 2-year deal with San Antonio, which was at the time St. Louis's American League team. Um, yeah, I didn't. Same thing as the junior year though. Didn't have any NHL offers, but had a lot of American League deals on the table after my senior year, and yeah, same thing. Like I, even knowing what I know now, like I'd still sign with St. Louis's AHL team and do all that, and it was a good deal, and I thought I'd have a good opportunity to prove myself. And at the end of the day, like I mean, where like I bounced up and down a little, as I'm sure you saw, but it was one of those things where it's your first year pro, and you're ready to play in the American League, and you get sent down, and it's kind of like we talked about earlier. It's just another thing that it helps you mature, and you don't realize the reality of like it's your job and all that. You kind of just you have to take it in stride, and it really does help you mature as a hockey player and as a man. You know.
No, you raised a lot of good points there. The first thing I want to talk about is just kind of like you when you're talking about the scouts there, like just kind of uh compartmentalizing or whatever the word is, like it's a big word for me. But I was the same way. Like, I could not be told, hey, Dallas is here watching you tonight. Like, good luck, play well. Like, cause then
Yeah.
it's just like and I always have so much respect for those athletes that are able to be, mentally strong enough to push that out of their head and focus on playing. And I was like more like you, or I'd be like, not that I ever had NHL scouts watching me, but like I would want to find out about it after, and let's just leave me alone during the day. I just want to focus on playing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Sorry, I was put the camera here. Oh, we're just gonna go this way. Sorry. Yeah. No, it was more of like a like I felt like I was under a microscope. If they're like, hey, like they're here to watch you, so they're going to be watching every move. Like you step a toe out of line and could easily get your name crossed off the list. So it was, I have a huge respect for that, and that's where guys like Michael Jordan was so good that he just set everything aside in his life and just played basketball or even golf. Whatever the competition is, like guys like that, they can just shut their mind off and just focus on it. It's incredibly impressive, but it's the second most impressive thing is self-awareness, and having enough self-awareness to know you can't do it just like we do. So hey, 1A and 1B, we're right there
Yeah.
with them.
Only positives here.
Yeah.
One thing I want to talk to you about, and you kind of brought it up, and I think it's good for people to hear is, you end up signing an AHL deal, which is awesome, a tremendous accomplishment for you. And not to say it didn't go the way you wanted, but as you said, there's just so many guys. It doesn't always, just because you sign it doesn't mean you're going to play in the AHL and whatever. And you were a guy that went up and down a bit and would have very good success in the East Coast, and then wouldn't it either wouldn't translate in the AHL, or you wouldn't get the opportunity as like you were in the ECHL. And I'm just curious, like, how was that for you? Kind of mentally in that grind, because it literally, like, it is a grind, like the ECHL, the AHL, like it's a farm system, everybody's a bunch of cattle, going up and down, like, how was that for you?
Oh man, it was like nothing I'd ever experienced before, and it was eye opening, and it helped mature. It helped me mature, like I said, as a man and a hockey player. The craziest thing to me that I just had a tough time wrapping my mind around was competing against your teammates, for opportunities and call ups. And it's, like, I don't mean like, battling in practice every day and, like making each other better like that. I mean, like, literally, there's like, hey, right now in the coast, we have, four AHL contracts. And if there's an injury in the American League, like whoever's doing the best out of all of us goes. And so, like, to the point where, like, you're rooting for your teammates' success and all that. And then, after 5 games, you look and they have 7 points and you have two. You're like, yeah, I'm happy for them. Then you're like, wait, that, but, in the back of your mind, you're like, oh crap. Like, that means they're like, if there's an injury tomorrow, they're getting called up and they're getting the opportunity. And it was a crazy dynamic for me to learn how to like process that and root for my friends, but at the same time want to, like have that healthy competition with them. And so it was weird and going up and down and just being different, like same thing, guys in the AHL, you got half NHL contracts, half AHL. Go down to the coast, you got half American League, half, and so like it really is, it isn't youth sports anymore. Like there are tiers and there's hierarchy and there's politics involved and stuff like that. It's not just like, oh, the best players play. It's like, no, like I'll never forget it, man. We had a coach lose it on we had an NHL contract down in the coast, and he wasn't performing well, and his mind wasn't really in it. Like he was kind of upset to be down there, and he had a bad morning skate, he had a bad first period, and our coach came in at like 14 minutes, like on the clock every time, like 12 minutes, something like that, like every time though, religiously it was boom clockwork. And he was in the bathroom or whatever and strolled in at like 11:45 for like the 12 meeting. The coach just lost it on him. He goes, man, I wish I could scratch you, I have to play you, everyone knows it. And it was just like one of those things, like that's that's how it is. It was a crazy dynamic that I've never been a part of. And I was same thing, I was still young, I think 21 years old, 22 years old, something like that. And I was just learning how to handle yourself in that kind of environment as a pro. It was wild. And obviously I wish I would have stayed up in the American League and all that and had a little better career in America. But I'm also like I'm thankful that I've gotten to see, you know, kind of see every kind of situation you can imagine really in pro hockey. Just from I guess from the minor leagues. Although I did have an extended camp with St. Louis. Got to go to take warmups in Winnipeg, like for the preseason game with them. Never got a preseason game, but I got to travel with them and take warmups and all that. So it's cool to see that side of it and just get a little taste of the NHL treatment, even if it was only for a couple weeks.
No, every experience is great. And as you said, like this grind we could talk about obviously prepared you for Europe because it's obviously a bit different as well. But the one thing I wanted to comment on is, we as athletes, and especially hockey players, we are brought up and taught that it's a team sport, team first. And, in college especially, like, the goal is for St. Cloud University to have success. And
Yeah.
then you get to the pro level in these minor leagues, AHL, ECHL, and as you said, there's four guys in the coast on AHL deals, and whoever's going to do the best is going to get called up when there's injury. So it becomes such a more of a selfish sport down in the minors. It's a me. Like I need to do well so I can move up or get out of here.
Yeah, and I mean, you have those guys that like they either don't try to hide it or they don't care or that's just how that's what they're used to or that's how they're brought up. And you have the guys that strut around like either they own the place or they're too good or they shouldn't be there. And then you have the guys that are just like, okay, like they just accept it. And there's some guys who are like, I'm just gonna put my nose down to the grindstone. Yeah, I mean, it's really on you, like as a player and as a man. It's like how do you want to handle it? So I it basically is just like I'm gonna, I'm a part of this team now. Like I don't know when I'm gonna be up and down, even if you're gonna be up and down. Really, like you never know. So when I got sent down, it was kind of just take it in stride. And if this is part of my career path, it's part of my career path. It is what it is. But yeah, like you said, it's just it's almost life experiences at this point. It's you gotta use your job for life experiences when it comes to that.
No, and as I said, I think it prepared you for Europe. And speaking of Europe, after doing the grind, I'll say in North America for parts of 3 seasons, you end up going over to Europe. I'm curious how that happened, and also just looking at the time, that would have been during COVID, like when the
Yeah.
first COVID year. So, like what led you to decide, hey, I don't want to do this anymore in North America, and I want to go try over in Europe, and then also to go to Slovakia.
I mean, COVID. Honestly, COVID was a huge part of it, just in the sense that I, I signed that 2-year deal, and then half or 3/4 of the way through my first year, COVID sweeps the nation, shuts everything down, all that, and St. Louis's American League team. It was Springfield at the time. It switched when San Antonio was bought by Vegas. They opted out of that season. That shortened season. I think would have been 21, 22. And so they opted out. So we ended up St. Louis and Vancouver shared their affiliate in the American League that year. So now all of a sudden I'm competing with the Vancouver prospects as well as the St. Louis prospects just for ice time and stuff like that. And we started the year like 16 forwards, and I was the 16 forward, and I was I knew that, and my motto was just stay ready so you don't have to get ready. I only played 5 games that year, but I played 5-on-5. I played on both power play units in different games. I was penalty killer. Like I only played 5 games, but I was in all these different situations and stuff. So I was happy with how I was. But then eventually, it got to the point where they just kept bringing more and more guys in, and I asked to be sent down. I was like, hey, I get it. We literally have 12 forwards dressed. I was like, we have like 18, 19 forwards right now. And like these are guys, like these are younger guys than me who are still in juniors, because the juniors, like the CHL canceled their season. So I'm like, I get it. Like you want these guys to get their reps in, their game and all that. Like I see the writing on the wall, and it's nothing personal and all that. But, like I'm not gonna play another game the rest of the year. It's like, can you send me down to the coast just so I can do the same thing you're doing for those guys? And I was saying, the GM's like, yep, no problem, all that. We shook hands, no hard feelings, everything, and I went back to Tulsa the next day. So with that, once that kind of happened, it was there weren't going to be any real good American League opportunities for me. I probably would have, if I would have stayed in North America, I probably would have had to sign like an ECHL contract, and I just didn't want to do that. I felt like I could come over to Europe and have success, and just basically get more money. Honestly, like I just felt like there was more money to be made and earned and success to have in Europe. And I always knew I wanted to go to Europe at some point in my career. I thought I'd play in North America longer, but I also didn't think we'd go through a global pandemic. So basically, I was like, you know what, the financial opportunities is kind of dried up in America, and I'm young and single, and now's the time. Like now's the time. I didn't think it happened this early, but here I am. And yeah, my North American agent had the agency has like a European division as well. So that European division just started reaching out to teams and leagues and stuff in Europe, and just the best fit ended up being in Slovakia with Nova Zamki. So and that's where I was for 2 years.
Yeah, and you go over there, as you said, Nova Zamki, and I was just looking at your rosters a bit. So a couple guys that I know, Dan Backlow was a goalie that I played against in college. So his name comes to mind. And then a guy I actually played with in Norway, a little Swede, Rasmus Alholm. You played with
Oh, I
briefly
played
over
with
there.
that too.
Yeah, we were together
Yeah,
in Norway. So and then of course,
Bugsy.
can't forget this guy. Austin Farley, who was on the episode a couple weeks ago. And
Yeah.
speaking of him, he wrote in some questions, so we're gonna have to bring these up right now.
How many did he write in?
I think there's 3. So he
I'm
said
gonna,
the first
I'm
thing
gonna answer. I'm gonna answer one of them because they're all gonna be stuff that he wants me to like expose myself on some dumb stuff.
I don't,
I know,
yeah,
I know this guy. I know this guy.
you can choose which one you're gonna answer. I'll tell you all 3, and then you can tell whichever one is the best story. So he said Ask him about his first experience in Slovakia. A restaurant was called Modi's, and he didn't understand that each steak was calculated by grams. He said, "Don't look." He didn't look at the menu and said, "I got you" to me, and then he paid the tab. The second one was ask him safety how the Mercedes dealership was. I don't know what that one
Oh,
was.
how safe the Mercedes
Oh,
dealership.
okay, and then the last one is ask him about the game in press off. So thank you, Austin, for writing those questions in. And now it's up to Robby here to pick which one he's going to answer.
I'll answer that first one. The other two they're tough. Let's just say I paid my dues. I paid my dues for that press shop game. So the powers that be, we're all square. We're squared up. I'm no longer in debt to that. That well, I guess long story short, I got turned around walking home one night in Nova Zamkey. It was like our first week there, and we went out to dinner, and he like went one way, and I was going the other because he was like living at the apartments, and I was still in the hotel, and I didn't have a cell service at the time, so I didn't know directions, and my phone ended up dying anyway when I was out there wandering the streets. It didn't speak the language, nothing, and so eventually it got to a point I'm like, man, like I'm gassed, I'm turned around, like I have no idea even what time it is. All that I'm like, just gonna sleep under this car dealership roof. And this car dealership, and they have like the awnings or whatever. I was like, you know what, this is if it rain, it's not gonna rain, but whatever happens, like at least I'm underneath some coverage and all that. And basically cuddled up there for the night. And the sun woke me up in the morning, and I looked around, got my surroundings, said, all right, home's that way, and walked home, at 6:30 in the morning. That was a tough introduction. Yeah, maybe I should probably go get my cell service so I don't get lost anymore. I screwed a Slovak SIM card. That was a tough night, but a good story that he loves making me tell.
welcome,
Um,
welcome to Europe.
oh my god, man. Well, this even the restaurant one was honestly probably like funny. Like we get there, and like Slovakia is cheaper than America. The prices are down a little lower. So we're out at what's called Modi's, the nicest restaurant in town. It was right by like the hotel. This is back when he was still at the hotel. And so it's like a block and a half away. Like, yeah, we'll go there. And um, we're looking at the menu, and there's like Omaha steak, and it was like I think it was like 18 bucks, or oh no, it was $10. And I just looked at that, it was in Slovakia, and I'm like, oh, like Omaha steak, $10, like it's a no brainer. And like I can't remember if he said something or whatever, and I was like, dude, yeah, give me the Omaha steak, and I'm thinking it's unreal, and they bring it out, and it's basically like a platter for two, and it's just like it's like sliced and all that, like in a real classy way. I don't really know how to describe it, but turned out, yeah, it was by the gram, and they served like 18 pieces of it. So Bugsy caught on to that earlier, and I was like, no, 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 dude, don't worry, it's fine. And yeah, so it ended up being 10 euros by the gram. I served 18 pieces, so the tab was like 180 bucks. I was like, yeah, you know what? That's my bad. I'll take this one, Bugsy. You got the next one. Don't worry about it. So that was yeah, that was tough, because I mean we were used to swiping like $5 for lunch, so I'm like, oh, $10 for dinner, like this, that the evidence before this is leading up, that makes sense. And yeah, 180 bones later, I learned my lesson.
Well, good for you for just realizing you were in deep there and just, yep, that's my bad. I'll take this. I'll eat it.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, Bugsy, that's on me. You go home, get some rest. I'll take care of the tab.
And then so after those 2 years, obviously playing in Slovakia, you end up going to Le Chaux de Fonds,
Mhm.
um, in the second Swiss league there. A very good team. They're a
Yeah.
team that tries every year to get promoted.
Mhm.
And you ended up playing there, for 7 games. I'm just curious, like, how was your experience there? And then, evidently, like, why did you end up transitioning back to Slovakia where you are now in Nitra?
Yeah. Honestly, it was a great experience there. Um, being able to live in Switzerland and play hockey in Switzerland, it was it was amazing. I'm glad I got to experience that. It was a different league, obviously different country style of play, all that, and it didn't really the hockey side, it wasn't as good of a fit as we thought it would be. Like me and the GM and the organization, stuff like that. So I mean, it was pretty mutual. Like, hey, like it's not a good fit. It was the same thing. Same thing basically that would happen. That year in the American League, they're like, hey, and before we decided to part ways, like we had a meeting. He's like, hey, like I can tell, like I was struggling a little bit at first, and he's like, you don't seem so happy. Like we're like, how do we fix this? We tried to fix it and get it right, but everything was just it was handled really professionally and all that. And he's like, what, like it. He goes, at the end of the day, like sometimes it happens. Like you sign a guy and whatever they did the year before, and it's something's off. Whether they don't just fit into your team well, if it's a mental thing or this and that. So um, it didn't work out as well as we thought it would. So we mutually parted ways, and then Nietzsche was in a position to where they were looking for imports, and so it happened. It happened real quickly. Like I really wasn't. I guess you could say I was never really like on the market. Like after I left Switzerland, you know what I mean? It happened so quick. I was like, yep, Nietzsche. Good offer. All right. Like I'm excited. I know the team. I know the league. Like I know the towns. It's not far from Nova Zampi, so like I visited here a few times, like in those 2 years that I played Nova Zampi, and it was a pretty easy decision. It was hard. It was hard at first, like going to the rival because Nova Zampi and Nietzsche, the biggest rivals for their clubs respectively, and honestly, maybe one of the biggest in the country in the league and all that. So that was a tough thing to make that decision in that aspect, but other than that, it was like, yep, I'm ready to play hockey. I'm ready to come to Nietzsche. I knew some guys on the team. That was another tough thing about Switzerland was it was only two imports in that league. So and then the other import we had was a Norwegian. So it was there were no Americans on my team, which you think like, oh, everybody speaks English, this and that, but it's just I don't know. When you're overseas, you have a bond with your countrymen. So I was missing that a little bit in Switzerland, but yeah, so it's nice now. I'm back playing this league. I got an American as my center. There's some more North Americans on the team and all that. So um, everything works out for the best. And at the end of the day, I got to play hockey and live in Switzerland for 2 months of my life. So it's can't be that bad. You know what I mean?
No, and as you said, like, you got to experience it, and when one door closes, another one opens. And I'd say it's pretty good for you that, you didn't have to wait long to find something else. Like
Mm-hmm.
you could directly transition, and clearly it's been a good fit. I mean, you've, had, I believe, 10 points in 6 games so far. It seems to be working out well in a league that you are familiar with. And,
Yeah.
it's still a great league to play in. As you said, I'm sure you're paid well in that league as well. So it's
Mm-hmm.
seems like a good fit. I'm curious. So like, obviously you're still, young, you're 26 years old, kind of in your mid 20s. Have you thought about like how long you wanna play for, or is it just kind of one of those things you're just enjoying the experience going year to year and kind of take it like that?
Honestly, man, like as long as my body can handle it and someone's gonna pay me a livable wage, I don't see any reason to hang them up. It's the best job ever. You get to wake up every day, go to the rink, play hockey. You're done by noon, and all that. Like, right? Well, once we're done with this, I'm just gonna go take a nap for like 2 hours. I play whatever. You know what I mean? It's
Hard day.
yeah, exactly. It's like I don't really get how I can want more and ask for more than what I have. I feel incredibly blessed and lucky to be able to do this. So I don't want to. I'd rather play a year too long than leave a year on the table. You know what I mean? So it's yeah, like I said, man. As long as my body can handle it and like I can stay injury free, knock on wood and all that. I don't see any reason why I don't play till 35, 37. That's honestly like that's kind of my target is 37 at least.
Oh, it's a good way to look at it, and just enjoying the experience every year too. Like enjoying the day to day and what comes with it. you know, because the real world is a lot different. So I always tell people like just enjoy it, play as long as you can. Obviously, multiple factors come in later, you know, whether it's you know, body or family, stuff like
Yeah.
that. So that's stuff to keep in mind. But it's cool too, because you talked about before, like how you kind of have an idea like when that day does come, what you want to do, whether it's in coaching or in broadcasting. And I'm curious, so how would someone like yourself, you know, get a broadcasting job or get into that field, I would say, like after you're done playing?
Well, I mean, I did have the chance to network a little bit with um like the the CBS Sports Network. The announcers who would call our games like at St. Cloud, like I got to know them real well and got a relationship with them. So it's, I guess it would kind of just be like a networking thing. I'd probably reach out to them for advice. There's a few other contacts I have, and St. Cloud, they have one of the best broadcasting programs like in the nation. Honestly, the broadcast, unless you know CBS or Fox Sports comes in and does it, their broadcast entirely student run for the hockey games, and they just take home awards every year. I actually won an award for a project I did in college. Forgot about that. As a student, you focus on the hockey stuff, but yeah, I got a nice little plaque and a trophy case in the broadcast department. That's fun. Anyway, I say all that to say, like it's like it's almost like graduating from Harvard Law. Like in that certain like job, like your that profession, where like a degree in broadcasting from St. Cloud like carries a lot of weight and opens some doors. And so it'd probably be a combination of that, combination of pro hockey, college hockey for 4 years, and pro hockey for at least five right now, and just a knowledge of the game. I would love to be like a color commentator or just an in studio analyst. Would be probably like my target and my I think things that I would be best at. So I don't know, and hopefully, like I said, I don't have to think about it for a while. I kind of put that on the back burner now that I'm out of school, and I'd love to play for another 10 years, but it is in the back of my mind. Just one day I'll have to do it. So, but kind of so I'll figure it out when cross that bridge when I come to it.
No, it's good. Like as I said, it is hopefully far away
Yeah.
for something that you know, to be seriously thought about. But it's good that you kind of have an idea already. And as you said,
Mhm.
broadcasting degree from a school like St. Cloud, it carries the same weight or credibility as, you know, a law degree from Harvard. So that's tremendous to have in your back pocket. Last one here before I let you go and get that nap in, because obviously, you know, gotta get your afternoon naps in as a hockey player. But
That's the best part of the day.
what is one piece of advice or multiple pieces of advice you would give your younger self or maybe the younger generation listening? So if, you know, whether it's you're speaking to Robby Jackson at 16, 17, 18 years old, or a young kid that's in the same age group, like what are, you know, one or multiple pieces of advice you would give them?
Um, I guess as far as we talked about it a lot. I guess just decision making and knowing what move is right. Whether it's playing for your local club or going to the one 200 miles away and making that work, or if the time comes picking a college, or if you're a free agent out of college and signing different contracts, whatever. It's trust your gut. Like honestly, like at the end of the day, um, you've worked to put yourself in a position to be able to make that decision, and you try, and that's kind of what got you there is your own motivation and your own intuition, and like you know what you need to do. Nobody knows yourself better than you do, so trust your gut and 100%, man, and enjoy the ride, and don't be afraid to just take moments at any time during the day, the game, the career, whatever, and just sit back and reflect and soak in the moment. Like I'll never forget. It was like my first week in Switzerland. It's good weather. I was leaving the rink after like a good practice one day, and I had the windows down. I was blasting music, and I realized, man, like I'm really out here in Switzerland getting paid to play hockey. Like this is freaking awesome. So it's not the typical like enjoy the process, enjoy the ride, but it's like every once in a while, take a step back and really reflect on like even if you're down or you got a tough decision, and like got a tough decision to make, or if you get sent down, all that. Like at the end of the day, you're still doing what you love. It could be a lot worse.
That's so true, man. And I think the self-reflection thing is a huge point because sometimes people are so focused on, the grind every day or the next step instead of, like, as you said, taking a second and being like, I'm in Switzerland right now. Like, who'd have thought 5 years ago I'd say I'd be, on my balcony in Switzerland or whatever it is. So that's really good advice.
Yeah, no, we actually last season, me and Farley were playing with another American, Ben Johnson, who was extremely devout and religious and faithful and all that. And he would pray after every game, like on the ice. He'd take a moment. I started doing it with him, and it really is just it was a nice moment. And I've continued to do it this year, even though I'm not playing with him, to just take that moment and whatever you believe in, God, the higher power of the universe, yourself, whatever it is, you know what I mean? Like take that moment and just be grateful and be thankful. Like, hey, like I'm just played another professional hockey game. I'm healthy. Like win, lose, draw. If you win 7-1 and you're -1, or if you score 3 and you lose 4-3, like whatever it is, just take that moment and really reflect and be thankful and realize it's your job and all that, but it was just a game and you'll have another opportunity. And I'm incredibly blessed to do stuff like that. So you really that's probably my best advice is take those moments to reflect, and it's good perspective enhancing.
And I think that's a big reason why you're having success and just kind of, you're able to kind of relax your mind like that and reflect. And, great way to end this podcast, you talking about that. So I appreciate you taking the time, sharing your story, answering my questions. Hopefully Farley gets a kick out of your answer on his, but appreciate it. And yeah, man, best of luck the rest of the season, and let's stay in touch.
Yeah, of course, man. Thanks for having me on. This was a lot of fun. Happy to do it. So if you ever wanna run it back or anything, just let me know. But we'll be talking. We'll be in touch for sure.
Sounds good, man. And yeah, for those listening, hope you enjoyed this episode again this week. Until next week, cheers and ciao.